Good morning. It is a little after 11 Central Standard Time, and my name is Nicole Price. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Lively Paradox. And today I am going to spend just a little bit of time sharing with you the work that I think is incredibly important around planning and reaching your purpose as you think about your year this year. So if you would please, if you haven't already, take a look on the home page and download the webinar handout that I've created for your use so that you can have it to take notes. Feel free to print it out or feel free to simply download it and type your own personal notes in. I cannot express how grateful I am that you're here with me today. So first things first, take a moment to think about what are some things that happened in 2016 that are worthy of celebrating. I want you to think about things that might be huge or things that also might be fairly small. So for me, one of the huge things that I accomplished last year is that I've got 4 courses under my belt as a part of my doctoral program. And so officially, now that I've started my 5th class, I am more than halfway through. So that's a very, very big win. A small win is I didn't gain so much weight that I feel overwhelmed with trying to lose it. So I didn't necessarily reach my goal, but it is spectacular that I didn't gain an additional 10 pounds as I crested the 40-year-old mark. But I want you to think about getting in the habit of reflecting and being gracious for the things that you were able to accomplish every single day so that you can keep track of the progress that you're making. And then if you would, please, feel free to share the list with me. My email address is nicole@livelyparadox.com. I'm giving away a prize for anyone who sends me an email after this broadcast, just simply because I like to celebrate with others. So again, share with me anything that happened big or small in 2016 and why it's worthy of celebration. The smallest things are great to celebrate as well. And then I want you to get into the practice of creating a gratitude list for yourself. If you feel so inclined, please share that list with me, because if you do, then I have something special for you. And that's just simply because I like to celebrate with others. So when you're thinking about what it takes to change something in your life or what it takes to actually thrive, there's a book called Change or Die by a man named Adam Deshman. And Adam Deshman in the book Change or Die really shares an amazing framework for how to actually thrive in the areas of your life where you want to make improvement. And making improvement does require a change. So in the book Change or Die, Adam shares that there are a couple of ways to address changes in your life, and one of those ways is our typical approach. And the typical way we try to get ourselves and other people to change is to use the 3 F's: fear, facts, and force. What do I mean by fear? Eat healthy or you're going to die young. That's an example of using fear to try to get someone to change. The facts. It's easy to lose weight if you eat right and exercise. You only need to eat a certain number of calories a day. You only need to move a certain number of minutes a day, and then you can exercise. Those are the facts. But the facts have never really caused anybody to think about doing anything differently necessarily as it relates to being healthy or being the size that they want to be. And then finally, there's force. Sometimes some of us have position or influence or power, and we have the ability to make other people change. So as a parent, I have that kind of relationship with my child. There are some things I can actually make him do. If he doesn't do them, I can use fear to kick him out, or I can give him the facts, talk about what kind of amazing kid I was. But the research shows, especially in Adam's book, Change or Die, that those kinds of approaches to getting someone to change don't really work. these methods have certainly proved to be ineffective for sure. So even if I think you have the remedy for me to be able to live to be 86, even if I'm 85, using fear, facts, and force won't cause me to make the changes necessary to get that additional year. And that's a direct quote from Adam. What is helpful and does cause successful change are the 3 R's. Having a relationship with someone else, retraining or having an opportunity to try things on for size, and then ultimately reframing. So thinking about things in a little bit of a different way. So let's talk about thriving. Relationship, whatever it is that you want to see happen for yourself in 2017 and beyond, you need to find someone like you who can support you. And then find ways, small ways. It could be text messages, it could be calls, it could be visits, to check in with those people. And it is important that the people you choose to help you make these kinds of changes in your life are people that you like, because these need to be people that you're really willing to spend time with. The second R is to retrain. You need to have some opportunity, some time to be able to practice this new thing and to create a new way eventually. It's incredibly important to remember that you're not perfect, and that's just perfect. It's an adage that I adopted and started saying as my own personal motto after finishing Brene Brown's course, Gifts of Imperfection. And so often we feel like we learned something or someone tells us something, and then all of a sudden we now have to do something about it. But remember the 10,000 hour rule. It takes 10,000 hours to become a master at anything. And so let's say you tell me today something you want to see me do differently tomorrow. Well, me expressing that I understand, I'm aware, I'm fully bought in, is kind of the first step. However, in order for me to actually change and do something differently, it's going to take some time. And 24 hours is a lot of hours short of the 10,000 hour rule. And so many of us need to practice empathy and compassion with ourselves, as well as empathy and compassion with others, so that we can start to see that we can be the support necessary to help ourselves change, and then also to help other people change. The last and final R is to reframe. We are going to be creating new habits, and as wonderful as that sounds, sometimes that hurts. But creating new exposures and going new places and trying different things is really incredibly important and helpful as a part of that process, so that we can create a new normal. But first, before you do any of this, there's a couple things that I want to make sure that you are aware of. And one of the first ones is state your vision and know specifically what you want. What do you want? About 3 years ago, I started having vision board parties, and that's something that's very much, that's a thing that women like to do. But I'm trying to figure out how to make it something that's more gender neutral. And the reason is because when I started having vision board parties, I started to notice that 80% of the things that were on my vision boards were coming to fruition. And so there's a lot of power in stating what your vision is and knowing very much what you want. If you're not clear on what you want, there's a few resources you can use. There's a YouTube video by a woman named Mel Robbins called How to Stop Screwing Yourself. And Mel has a wonderful strategy for helping you get clear and to just get started. And then also, if you don't know why you exist or what your purpose is, you might read Start With Why by Simon Sinek, or watch his YouTube video, or lean into just who you are as a person. It's likely that the thing you love, you probably have always loved and it's always been there, and you just haven't been paying attention to it. And so when you think about your goal and what you want to do, you want to start with why. I agree with Simon there. Your purpose and why you're here, or why the world needs you, is incredibly important. But once you're clear on your why you're here, your purpose, and define what you want, like actually lay it out in a vision statement or on a vision board. The how needs to be articulated, and this is where accountability comes in to help you make the short-term changes necessary, and not just so that you can make the short-term changes necessary, but also so that you can celebrate. And so let's think about, for a second here, what does it look like to be clear on your goals? Now, understand that there's difference between short-term goals and long-term goals. I know that intellectually you know that. But as you're visioning, create what your short-term goals are, but then also be sure to, as you create your long-term goals, be sure to create little short-term goals or little milestones along the way, so that you have something to add to your gratitude list. And the gratitude is incredibly important so that you can, A, be happy, and then 2, see your progress that you're making. And I also like to tell people to keep track of their starting point, because sometimes if we don't remember where we started, it'll feel like that we're not making huge progress. Now, everything that you're working on, sometimes people tell me in my coaching sessions that they've got far too many requests coming their way. One of the ways to know whether or not you should do something, or if it should get a yes from you, is to ask yourself, does it align with your why? And if it doesn't align with your why, what would be your reason for doing it? And that might be helpful. I have added to the home page a copy of the Grow, Plan, and Study Opportunity Guide. I stole this idea from Pastor Adam Hamilton, the pastor at Church of the Resurrection. He calls his the Grow, Pray, and Study Guide. But this tool is a good way for you to get specific on your goals. But the way I created it was to set up a design that helps you focus on your strengths, and then also understand that all of us have gap areas, and we all have the capacity to improve our level of performance, in the words of Alan Fine. And so you don't want to make mental shortcuts because you have not thought through what you're going to do and how you're going to focus on your goals. Because if you don't have something to focus you will just kind of by nature take the mental shortcuts and rely heavily on what you've done in the past. And if you want to avoid that, the Grow, Plan, and Study Guide is really helpful, and all the instructions are on it and there for use. The second thing I want you to be mindful of is that your mind is very powerful. Many of you have probably heard me tell the Flea Story before, and the Flea Story is that if you put fleas in a glass, they'll all jump out. But if you put fleas in a glass and you put a lid on that glass, they'll jump up and hit their bodies against that lid for a while, and then they'll start to jump just below the lid because it was hurting. At the point that you have 100% compliance, you can remove the lid and the fleas will never jump out of that glass. And why is that? That is because if we've tried really hard in the past to do something and have been unsuccessful, we will start to imagine obstacles sometimes that don't exist. And so when you are creating your goals and thinking about what you want to do in the future, one of the things that I like to tell people when they say I'm an eternal optimist is, if you don't know what's going to happen, choose optimism. And why is that? I'm not suggesting positive psychology, although there are some reasons that positive psychology does work. But I will tell you, are the fleas stuck not jumping out of the glass because they weren't thinking positively? There's a little bit of something there. And when you set your goals and you are planning for what you want to do in the future, you have no idea what's going to happen in the future. None of us do. And because we don't know what's going to happen in the future, choose optimism. When you don't know, why choose pessimism? If there's a gap and an opening and a place that we are unsure about, optimism is my go-to place. The third thing I want to make sure you are aware of is that sometimes you will have detractors. I know you know that. We use the term that haters are going to hate, but I want you to know that you have just as many supporters, if not more. So focus more on your supporters, the people who love you, who can support you. That relationship piece that I mentioned is incredibly important. And understand that every single hater is not there to hurt you. Opposition, resilience, working through challenges, running into some obstacles sometimes could be there to help you reach your goal. And that's an idea that I adopted from reading the book The Alchemist. If you haven't read it, it's something to pick up. And then remember my favorite quote from Arthur Ashe: start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. Um, Sometimes our obstacles seem insurmountable. It seems like the challenges are too hard to take on. But if you just sit solidly in your space and say, okay, what can I do from where I am? What resources do I have available to me? And then get moving there, you'd be amazed at what you can do in the world. If you need help, what I want you to do is share your gratitude list with me. If you send me an email, I want you to put the word power in the subject line, and I will send you a helpful prize. If you'd like some coaching help, my scheduling link is listed there on Meet Me. And you're always free to call me. I tell you what, since I've been working alone, I've had some lonely moments not being able to talk to colleagues and peers. Feel free to call me. And as always, you can find us on social media at Lively Paradox. The only social media outlet where my handle is different is Twitter. And on Twitter, I am Nicole Price. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. The next webinar will be February 10th, 2017 at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And for those of you who are in different time zones across the globe, that is 5 p.m. UTC, Universal Time. And the topic there is going to be how to thrive when you are unorthodox. All righty. Thank you guys so much for your time. Again, my name is Nicole Price, and I am incredibly grateful that you have joined us. And remember, send me an email, and I'll send you a helpful prize.